that specializes in sport management, and in fact, I am the chair of the sport management department. The classes I teach are primarily sport law, sport finance, sport facility management, and sometimes a smattering of other classes that are put in there, whether it's managerial or, for example, I'm teaching a class this coming semester on sport sustainability and entrepreneurship, which focuses on how to start your own sport business that's going to be green. So with that said, let me just tell you a little bit about some of my thoughts associated with getting a job in the sport industry. A lot of people say they love sports, and I just want to be very clear from the beginning that just because you love sports, you know who is in first place, you know the batting averages of all these players, or the ERAs, or whatever it is, that's not going to get you a job. People hire in this industry for two reasons. One is you could save people money, and that's on the small side of people that can save money, and that's more on the sport finance side, maybe the accounting side, some of the number crunching side, or you can make people money. And that's the big area where you find a lot of jobs. That's going to be in the sponsorship sales area, ticket sales, specialty packaging, the concessionaire side. All these different sides are areas where you can make money, and if you can make people money, you're much more likely to be able to get a job, because people don't want anyone that's going to be a burden. They want someone who's going to be productive and provide value. And so what I keep telling people is that you can love sports, but people are not going to hire you because you love sports. They're going to hire you because you could do something, provide them with some kind of value. And that's what I want to stress from the very beginning, that value creation or value savings are going to be the ways that you can help promote yourself. Now, a lot of people ask, how do I get a job in the sport industry? It's very tough. I'm not going to lie and sit here and say that it hasn't been impacted by the economy. It definitely has. But like everything else, even if you have an issue in a given sector, there's always going to be growth points in that sector, and there are growth points in the sport industry. The key becomes, how do you identify what those growth points are? And I'll give you some tips and ideas, as well as how to get yourself out there. Now, in the past, probably one of the biggest ways that people have been able to really get a job in this industry is through connections. Now, when we start taking a look at connections, there's a number of ways you can get it. One of our alum, who's a GM for an NHL franchise that has done very well in the southwest part of the United States, he got his job through hard work, but also he had the help of marrying a young lady whose father just happened to own a professional franchise as well. And so, you know, that is one way, and most people don't have that luxury of being able to marry into a position. So what do they have to do? They have to get known. They have to get out there and have visibility. An internship, whether paid or unpaid, can provide some good opportunities, but I encourage much more aggressive approach to landing a job. The much more aggressive approach that I would recommend entails really networking with individuals out there in the industry. For example, how many of you that are watching right now are members of an association within your industry? That's one of the best networking opportunities you can have. For example, in the sport industry, you have NACDA, the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. You have the Stadium Managers Association. You have the International Association of Venue Managers. You have associations for concessionaires, associations for fundraising people. There's a lot of different associations out there that are designed to serve as a networking forum for individuals so they can get to know one another. We bring our students sometimes to the Stadium Managers Association conference as an example. That's a wonderful conference. The students learn quite a bit, but not everyone can afford going to such a conference. So what I would recommend is not just to look at conferences, but to take a look at, as an example, LinkedIn groups. How many of you are members of LinkedIn? If you're not already involved with LinkedIn, I would recommend that you do get involved with LinkedIn as soon as possible, because LinkedIn serves as a wonderful tool for you to get to know other people. And so, for example, I would recommend, if you're interested in LinkedIn, or if you are connected right now, and you're interested in a given topic, let's say ESPN, go onto LinkedIn and type in ESPN in the search, and it'll bring up all these people that work at ESPN. Try to connect with them, and if you can connect with them, tell them a little bit about yourself. Say, this is who I am, this is what my interest is. I have tons of contacts on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with the students or prospective students that are out there, and just send me a LinkedIn request at Gil Fried, Gilfried, and I'd be more than happy to connect with you. And then you could check who I have on my listings, and I have people in all the major sport leagues, facility management areas, sporting goods, ESPN, WWE, all those types of companies. And I'd be happy to use that as a frame of reference for you, because a lot of what goes on in this industry is who you know and what impressions you have made for them. So one of the things is, even if you connect with someone on, say, I'm connected to someone, it's more important to volunteer and ask that person how you can help them. That becomes, I think, the key for us, is seeing how you can provide value. You're not asking someone for something, you're offering someone something. The more you offer, the more likely they're going to come back when they know of an opportunity and remember you, that you've done something for them and you've provided value for them, that they're going to want to. And so when I start talking to people, a lot of times, I want to get tickets into this industry, I want to go to a game, I want to do this, I want to do that. In all my years of working in this industry, I've never once asked anyone for free tickets. I rarely, if ever, go to the games. I don't want people to think of me as someone who's trying to get something from them, but I want to try to be the person that provides them with the value, and that becomes very important in what we're doing. Now, I want to talk about a couple different areas on the career search side of things. And one is to make sure you have a very strong resume. Make sure you have a very strong objective statement. The objective statement should be customized to the job you're applying for. So if you're applying for a ticket sales position, as an example, you want to put in the objective statement that your experience has provided you with a skill set to sell effectively, and that your passion and your interest entails selling tickets. That really shows that you're interested in that particular position. I often see these objective statements or summary statements that say, I love sports and want to work in the industry. I would throw that resume away immediately. I don't care about your background. You're not someone that can solve the problem for me if you present it that way, no matter how good your background is. Remember, in this industry, there are hundreds and hundreds of resumes that come in for every job. And the people that review it are not going to spend a lot of time reviewing it. On average, when I review a resume for someone in this industry, it's probably about less than a minute. And I'm looking for bullet points, I'm looking for skills, not to put down that you have specific computer skills such as Microsoft Excel. I don't care about that. You should have that, and I'm assuming everyone has that skill set. If you have special programming background that you have, maybe you know SPSS or one of the ticketing software like Plugin. That is the stuff that I'm looking for, and that's what will stand out. Also, if you've had success in the past, what internships have you done, and what did you do? It's not just enough to say that you did an internship. You really have to highlight what skills you provided to the people while you're working at the internship, and then you want to highlight what skills you got from the internship that you can apply to another organization. So you want to make sure that the resume really stands out. Make sure there's enough white space along the borders, so that way it doesn't look too congested. That use bullet points, use other techniques to give space so people know what's going on with you, and it's not too clouded. Don't put in too many buzzwords or things like that. Oftentimes they are very, very weak. Also, you want to have a cover letter, and the cover letter should just have an introductory paragraph, a little bit about yourself and why you're applying for that job. And the second should be a little bit second paragraph should be a little bit more about yourself, what your background is, some of the key things that makes you ideal for this. The third paragraph should focus in on what they're looking to hire for and how your skills actually meet that need and why you're going to be successful. And the fourth paragraph is the call to action where you ask them for an interview or a follow-up. And it should be a short and sweet letter as well. If you do that, I think you have a much greater chance of standing out in front of other people. Some people go to real extremes and do some funky things in order to try getting attention. Well, that's cute, and sometimes it makes it onto ESPN News or Yahoo News or things like that about some innovative things people have done. Most people in this industry, we treat it very seriously, and we want to find serious people that are willing to work and to pay their dues. Now, I want to go into a couple of different areas that I think people often talk about, and then try to provide a different perspective of why they might be good areas for you to consider. Now, professional sports is one of the ones that a lot of people talk about. Just look at the number of professional sport teams out there. Look at the number of opportunities they have in player relations. I can't tell you how many people respond saying, I want to go into player relation. I want to be involved with the athletes. Well, there's very few jobs in there, and if you haven't played a professional or high-level sports at that level, it's hard for you to really get that kind of job. While it can be done, it's a rare exception. Even though you might say I'm great at breaking down film on things like that, the player side is very, very difficult. Being an agent is even more difficult, and I don't recommend that to a lot of people. It's very cutthroat and it's very difficult. So if you're looking at professional sport, what are some of the opportunities that might provide you with some good opportunities for growth and jobs? Well, one of the big areas is going to be sales. Whether it's ticket sales, whether it's suite sales, sponsorship sales, you name it, there's a demand for it. Now, it might not be the most glamorous side, and it takes a lot of hours and a lot of preparation, but it's something that you should consider as a potential option is that area. Another area which I've seen a lot of growth in is technology. There was an article in Business Week last week about Sporting Kansas City and how they've been able to engage about 25% of their fans through an in-stadium app. And the average throughout the NFL is only 10% of fans. So they've been really able to engage their fans. Of the $200 million construction costs of their facility, $6 million went into putting in a state-of-the-art wireless fiber system, which is just phenomenal, state-of-the-art. I mean, it's just wonderful. And that's encouraging people to be more interactive with the game, have better viewing angles. They could choose what replays they want, things like that. That is what the future is for a lot of sport teams right now, because a lot of fans feel it's better for them just stay at home and watch on TV, because they could have the big screen, HD TV. They could have the meals they want, the food they want, the beverages they want, to go to the bathroom whenever they want. Don't have to worry about parking. This is actually a serious issue for the NFL, where they're losing fans to technology, and they're trying to figure out ways to get them more engaged. And one of the suggestions is to make going to the stadium just like being on your couch, where you have access to everything that you might need technologically. Other areas on the pro side include facility management. Facilities are constantly changing, they're evolving, and they're trying to find new ways to generate revenue from the facilities. So whether it's on the concession side or the facility management side, that's an area where there's still a lot of growth, and there has been growth for years and years. One of the things I'd like to say about that, especially on the facility management side, is that if you want to work, let's say, for the New York Yankees, they have a limited number of opportunities. But they have a side business called Legends, which is owned between the Steinbrenner family and Jerry Jones in Dallas, and facility management company. Now, they would have a lot more opportunities than the New York Yankees. Now, you might work at Yankee Stadium. You'll probably get paid more than working for the New York Yankees, but you have opportunity to grow and to move to other venues as well. That is much stronger argument for that kind of opportunity exists with companies such as Aramark, Global Spectrum, Comcast owns Global Spectrum. There's Delaware North, which owns Sports Service. There's Centerplate, AEG, Onshore Entertainment Group. There's a number of large facility management companies out there, and they have a lot more opportunity for you to grow. Now, you might go to a prison, to a university, to a government institution, and then work your way into a major stadium or arena. That's an opportunity, but while you've been doing that, you've been receiving significant training, and you've created value for people, and this has given you an opportunity to earn much more money working for them, working in a given stadium, than maybe people that work for the team. Now, you might not get that Super Bowl or World Series ring or things like that, but if you're trying to support a family, that's an important issue. Now, one of the things with working with any sport organization, but primarily with facility management and pro sports, the hours are quite significant. And so I want to put that up front from the very beginning. If people think that you can just come and show up for the games, you're wrong. You're going to be working every weekend during the season for the most part. You're going to be working daytime and nighttime. So you might come in at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning if it's a non-game day, and work throughout the day and then be able to go home at nighttime, maybe 5, 6 o'clock. If it's a game day, you might be there at 5 o'clock in the morning and might not come home till 1 o'clock at night. Or 1 o'clock in the morning, I should say. So you should keep that in mind. You don't have as big of a time commitment sometimes with collegiate sports. Now, during the sports season, it might be crazy, but during the off season, it gets a little bit more manageable. Collegiate sports still has room for growth, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that there are still programs that are trying to figure out what they're doing, how to comply with NCAA mandates, the whole issue of student athletes and the training of student athletes. I'm not talking about athletic training. I'm talking about in the classroom, athletic, fitness side of things. There's so many different areas that go on in collegiate sport. The recreation side of collegiate sport really has taken off over the last 20 years. It's stabilized over the last couple of years, and you don't see as many new recreation facilities being built, but it is something to consider. Fitness facilities. A lot of people don't think about fitness facilities as an option, but with the obesity trend in the United States, this is one of the big growth areas because insurance companies are really supporting this effort and providing incentives for the insureds to go to fitness facilities and for corporations to build their own fitness facilities for their employees as a way to reduce obesity, health risk, and things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities there. There's also a lot of opportunities with YMCAs and people to take a look at. Fitness is going to keep growing, and I don't see it slowing down. There are a lot of opportunities in the broadcast side. Fox is now going to be challenging ESPN. You have WWE. You have a number of other specialized networks over there. We just had NBC move to Connecticut, and they have a great sport programming, out there in the broadcasting side. But like anything else, you can't just say, I want to be a sport broadcaster. Those positions are few and far between and very competitive. But if you know technology, if you know how to help them make money or save money in what they're doing, how can they grow into other markets? Do you know the cable industry and what are the subscription rates and how to grow those numbers? Those are the kind of skill sets that they're looking for besides productions and digital side. If you know social media, and I'm not taking a look at just can you update your Facebook page on a regular basis, but do you really know and understand social media? ESPN's looking for people that have that skill set as well as all the other sport media entities out there. A lot of the newspapers are dying out there, and they need people that can interact and move the great writing of their writers to the internet and social media. Special event is also a big area. For example, Tough Mudder, Warrior Dash, Spartan Challenge, these kind of events, they did not exist a couple of years ago, and now these companies are earning $50 to $70 million a year. So coming up with a new and interesting area, CrossFit, for example, has really taken off. Taibo and kickboxing and all these different things, they've really taken off. The sport fundraising side is a huge area, and that's really taken off as well. And that might be walkathons or things like that. They aren't great fundraisers because they cost so much money to produce that they only raise about 10% to 20% of the total revenue generated ends up being used on the nonprofit side. The rest goes to helping run these events, but they still need people to run them, whether it's March of Dimes or the Heart Association or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of different options out there, and I want people to think about those options and consider the broad spectrum of them. Now to wrap up, before I allow you to ask me questions, is when you start taking a look at what skills people are really looking for. If you have this sales mentality, that personality that you can sell almost anything, well, that's great. And that's what we often take a look at. Those are skill sets that are just phenomenal. But one of the most important skill sets that I see lacking in a lot of people, and there are a lot of sport management programs out there throughout the United States. A lot of them are very weak. A lot of them are not business school based, and that provides its own challenges because you might not get a business based background, and when you're trying to work in the sport industry, it's a business and you need to have those business skill sets. But even on business school based programs, a lot of times they're taught by people that really know maybe one or two areas. For example, sport marketing, or they might know some event management, or they might know some weird areas which really aren't as critical. The critical ones that I see as areas where people should be looking at and making sure they have those kind of skill sets that are provided to them by their instructors and by their programs include, in this order of relevance, facility management, how to understand a facility and its operations, sport law. Sport law is going to be helping you with understanding all the different facets of reducing risk, reducing injuries, saving money on contracts, things like that. Sport marketing. Sport marketing is going to be how to help you sell it, and within that, there's a subspecialization of selling, and personal sales is a big area. The next one is sport management, and that's how to be a manager. Now, it's very difficult to be a leader. It's very difficult to be a manager. But your goal, especially if you're getting a master's degree, is not to be on the front line, but to be a manager. And so you need to sharpen those managerial skill sets. The top skill set that I would put on that list would be sport finance. And the reason why I put sport finance is it's all about the numbers. Every deal is a critical deal. And the amount of money that we're talking about is not nickels and dimes, but millions and millions and millions of dollars. And in order to make those decisions, you have to really take a look at what are the underlying factors. Take a look at some of the issues that might underlie what's going on. Strategic planning, for example. Do you have the skill set to be able to plan with big data? What is big data? How do you get it? How do you analyze it? Those are some of the biggest challenges that sport organizations are facing right now, and that's the skill set that they're looking for. I hope this has provided you with some useful information about getting a job in the industry, and I encourage you to send me and contact me with any questions you have, and I'd be happy to answer those questions to make sure that we can provide you with the greatest amount of